She marched right up to me while I was polishing my Harley, her son standing behind her with his arms crossed like he owned the world. She pointed at the bike and snapped, "That belongs here now. My son wants it. Hand over the keys." For a second, I thought she was joking, but her face was dead serious. The kid smirked, tugging on his red hoodie, and said, "Yeah, it'll look better in our garage anyway." I laughed, but it wasn't funny. This is my Harley, paid with my money, parked on my driveway. You can dream all you want, but it's not leaving here. Karen's eyes narrowed, and she pulled out her phone. "Fine. If you won't listen, the cops will. You're about to lose more than just this bike." That's when her son leaned closer to me and whispered, "You'll regret this. My mum always wins." What they didn't know was simple. The person who lived in this house wasn't just a biker. I had friends in places they couldn't even imagine, and one of them happened to be the state attorney. The sirens started wailing in the distance. They had really called the cops. I leaned back on my bike, calm, almost amused, because this was about to flip faster than they could blink. The patrol car pulled up with flashing lights, and Karen jumped into her performance like she had rehearsed it for weeks. She waved her arms and shouted, "Officer, arrest this man immediately. He stole my son's motorcycle and refuses to give it back." The cop, a young officer with mirrored shades, looked from me to the Harley, then to Karen's son, who was standing there with that smug grin. "Ma'am," he asked, "do you have proof this bike belongs to you?" Karen didn't even blink. She shoved a folded piece of paper at him, some fake HOA violation notice with official-looking stamps. "Right here, this proves he can't keep it. HOA rules say all motorcycles belong to community property if they're noisy. My son is the rightful new owner." The officer frowned but didn't dismiss her. He actually started circling my Harley, writing something down. The kid whispered loud enough for me to hear, "Told you we'd win. You'll be walking to work now." I stayed calm. I didn't reach for my wallet, didn't raise my voice. Instead, I pulled out my phone and made one call. "Hey," I said casually, my eyes on Karen. "Yeah, it's me. They're here now. Can you send someone down?" Karen's smug smile froze. "Who are you calling?" she demanded. I smirked. "Just the state attorney's office." The cop's pen stopped mid-scribble. He looked at me differently now. The air shifted. Karen stammered. "He's bluffing. Don't listen to him. He's just a biker with no respect for the rules." But the officer was no longer so sure. Karen's face turned red as the officer stepped back, clearly unsettled. "You can't just call the state attorney like he's your buddy," she snapped. "This is our neighborhood, and I make the rules here." I leaned on the handlebars, calm as ever. Funny thing about rules, they only matter if they're real. The kid frowned, finally catching a glimpse of doubt in his mum's act. "Mum, are you sure they'll back us up?" he whispered, but she hushed him quickly. Just then, another car pulled up, sleek, black government plates glinting in the sunlight. The door opened, and out stepped a man in a suit. Karen's confident smirk cracked when she recognized him. "Afternoon," he said firmly, flashing his badge. "State Attorney's office. We got a report of harassment and false claims being made here." The officer immediately straightened. All business now. Karen stumbled over her words. "Harassment? No, he stole the bike. He broke HOA rules. I was just protecting the community." The state attorney didn't even look at her. His eyes were on me. "This the one?" he asked. I nodded once. He turned back to Karen, his tone ice cold. "You've just committed fraud, attempted theft, and filed a false police report. Do you have any idea how serious that is?" Karen's son's grin vanished, replaced by fear. "Mum, what's going on?" he whispered. Karen tried to regain her fire, pointing at me desperately. "He's lying. He's dangerous. He doesn't belong here." But her voice cracked, and for the first time everyone could hear it. The sound of a woman losing control. The street had gone quiet, neighbors peeking from their windows and porches, curious about the drama unfolding. Karen straightened her shoulders, trying to save face. "You don't understand," she insisted, her voice trembling. "This man is a threat to our community. He shouldn't even be living here. I have every right to remove him and his noise machine." The state attorney raised an eyebrow. "Really?" Because according to county property records, he held up a file in his hand, this land belongs fully to him. In fact, he has more rights here than your so-called HOA, which doesn't even legally exist in this district. The officer's eyes widened. Wait, there's no HOA here. Karen froze. She hadn't expected that to come out so fast. That's a mistake, she stammered. I formed a committee and we voted. The attorney cut her off. A committee is not a homeowners association. What you've been doing, issuing fake violation notices, demanding fines and now trying to seize personal property, falls under fraud and impersonation of authority. Gasps came from a couple of neighbors watching from across the street. Karen's son shifted nervously, muttering, "Mum, this doesn't sound good." Her mask slipped further. No, you don't get it. My son deserves that bike. He's entitled to it after everything we've done to keep this neighborhood safe, I chuckled, shaking my head. Safe? You tried to steal my Harley and call fake rules law. The state attorney's voice sharpened. Ma'am, you're facing serious charges, and if you don't calm down right now, we'll add resisting and obstruction to the list. Karen's perfect little world was cracking right in front of everyone, and she knew it. Her hands shook, but instead of backing down, she doubled down like cornered snakes often do. She suddenly grabbed the officer's arm and shouted, "Why are you just standing there? Arrest him now! He's dangerous! He threatened my son! If you don't do your job, I'll call your chief myself." The officer yanked his arm free, glaring at her. "Ma'am, step back now." His tone had shifted. No patience left. But Karen wasn't done. She lunged toward my Harley, gripping the handlebars like she was going to drag it off herself. "If the law won't protect us, I'll impound this thing myself." The crowd of neighbors gasped. Her son tried to cheer her on, but even he looked nervous as she struggled against the heavy bike. I didn't move. I just watched, calm as stone. Then, click. The state attorney held up a small remote, and everyone's eyes turned toward the Harley. A tiny camera hidden near the headlight had been recording the whole thing. The fake notice, the demands, her grabbing at the bike, even her screaming at the cop. The attorney angled the live feed toward the officer. Everything is recorded. Every word, every threat, every false claim. This isn't just her word against his. This is evidence. Karen's face drained of color. "You can't do that. You can't record me without permission." The attorney smiled coldly. "On private property? Actually, we can. And this footage is going straight into the official case file." Her son took a step back, muttering, "Mum, we're screwed." For the first time, Karen's voice cracked into desperation. "No, this is my neighborhood. I control it. He doesn't belong here." But the truth was out, and her empire of lies was falling apart. The officer's patience finally snapped. He pulled out his cuffs and stepped toward Karen. "Ma'am, you're under arrest for filing a false police report, attempted theft and obstruction. Put your hands behind your back." Karen froze like a deer in headlights. You can't arrest me. I am the law here," she shrieked, clutching her son's arm. Tell him we run this place." But the boy was pale, his confidence shattered. He stammered, "Mum, maybe we should just stop. This isn't working." The neighbors who had been hiding behind curtains were now fully outside, phones in hand, recording every second. Someone whispered loud enough for everyone to hear. About time someone stood up to her. Another neighbor added, "She's been terrorizing us for years." Karen's face twisted as she realized the crowd wasn't on her side anymore. "You're all ungrateful. I protected you. I kept this place in order, and this biker trash ruined everything." I stood tall beside my Harley, meeting her eyes with a calm she couldn't touch. "No, Karen, you ruined yourself. All I did was stand my ground." The state attorney nodded to the officer. "Book her. Make sure the DA gets this footage immediately." As the cuffs clicked around her wrists, Karen screamed, thrashing against the officer's grip. "This isn't over. I'll sue every one of you. I'll get this whole street condemned." But her son didn't move to help her. He just stood there, hood pulled up, staring at the ground, ashamed. And in that moment, the self-proclaimed queen of the neighborhood had become nothing more than a criminal in front of her entire kingdom. The neighbors closed in now, not to fight but to watch her fall. Phones were everywhere, flashing and recording every second, destined for the internet. Karen twisted in the cuffs, screaming at them, "Stop filming me! You don't have the right!" One man from down the block, usually quiet, called back, "You didn't care about rights when you towed my truck for no reason." A woman added, "Or when you fined me for my kid's basketball hoop." The officer pushed Karen toward the patrol car, but the humiliation didn't stop there. The state attorney raised his voice, speaking so every neighbor could hear. "Let this be clear. There has never been a legitimate HOA here. This woman fabricated rules, forged documents, and used intimidation to take people's money and property. Starting today, every one of you who paid her fines can file for reimbursement, and she'll be facing charges in court." The crowd erupted in gasps, then cheers. Karen's son hid his face, his hood pulled low, muttering, "This is a nightmare." I looked around at the neighbours, some smiling for the first time in years. "She wanted to take my Harley," I said, my voice carrying down the street, "but instead, she just lost her crown." Karen shouted from the back seat of the cruiser, her voice muffled by the closing door. "I'll come back. You'll all regret this. You can't just erase me." But the sound of the lock slamming shut cut her off. For once, she wasn't in control. The officer drove away, and the street felt lighter, freer, like a storm had finally passed. People clapped me on the shoulder, neighbours who had once stayed silent. "You ended her reign," one man said. I just nodded, watching the taillights disappear. "No," I answered quietly. "The truth did." As the patrol car disappeared down the street, a hush settled over the neighbourhood. People who had once avoided eye contact with me now stood shoulder to shoulder, relieved. It wasn't just about my Harley anymore. It was about every door she had knocked on, every fake fine she had slapped down, every threat she had thrown at families who couldn't fight back. The state attorney placed a hand on my shoulder. "You did the right thing staying calm. Most people would have lost it, but you knew the law would handle her." I gave a small smile. "I fought for this country once. I didn't do that to let some bully tell me I can't park on my own driveway." A neighbour, a retired veteran himself, raised his hand in a salute. "Damn right," he said, and others nodded in agreement. Karen's son slipped away down the sidewalk, silent and humiliated, leaving behind the mess his mother created. No one followed him. No one cared. The crowd slowly broke apart, neighbours heading home talking about freedom, justice, and how good it finally felt to breathe easy in their own community again. I ran my hand along the Harley's polished chrome, the bike still standing strong, unshaken by all the noise. "She thought she could take this," I muttered, but what she really tried to steal was freedom. I started the engine, the deep rumble echoing through the street. No one complained. In fact, a few even clapped. And as I rode off that night, I wasn't just a man on a motorcycle. I was a reminder that property rights, justice, and truth still mean something here, and no fake queen with forged papers will ever take that away.